Hello, YouTube! This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another Hearthstone cast. Today, I think I'm going to go ahead and try my warrior deck. Now, the warrior deck has a lot of spells, it has some minions that interact really nicely with other minions inside the deck, and a couple legendaries. So let's go ahead and choose my custom warrior. We're going to do ranked because I am level 18, and I feel like the ladder has kind of shaken itself out from the earlier mess where a lot of good people were still very low level because the season was new. At this point, at level 18, I should expect to see people who do not have optimal decks, who are fairly new to the game or don't play very much, which might even the odds out in my favor, considering I am an amateur. I have never spent any money on decks, and this should be a fairly even match depending on what we see from this mage, JumpyLion. Now again, we want to look at the low mana cost cards early on. The Sludge Belcher is nice, but 5 mana is just a little too high. Fiery War Axe is fantastic early on with that 3 attack for only 2 mana. It can be enough to get rid of a Mech Warper that the mage may want to use, or a Mana Worm, which is another early good card that the mage has. Execute is good for destroying an enemy minion, but you want to use that against high mana cost cards that the enemy has, which means later on in the game, the Acolyte of Pain is good for card draw early in the game and doesn't cost very much. So we will keep the Acolyte and the Fiery War Axe, and this Warbot, and we pick up a Shield Maiden as well, which automatically gives me 5 armor when she is put out, and is a 5/5, so pretty fantastic. We are going to greet the mage with a sarcastic greetings. We're going to put down the Warbot on turn 1. What this means is if the mage has a Frostbolt, which is a 2 mana cost card, she'll be able to kill it because it does do 3 damage. She'd have to coin it out though, and she doesn't. Instead choosing an Unstable Portal, which is 2 mana, and puts a random minion into your hand that costs a little bit less than they usually do. So fantastic. Let's armor up, giving myself 2 armor on top of the 30 health, and attack with the Warbot for 1 damage, and end the turn. Now, 1 damage isn't very much, but you'll notice the Warbot has an Enrage plus 1 attack specialty there. Aha. And the Mech Warper comes out behind a Dread Corsair, which is a taunt 3/3 pirate that did cost less because it was created by Unstable Portal, so the mage was able to get it out earlier than turn 4. So I think what we want to do is let's get out the Fiery War Axe and kill the Corsair. And then we hit the Mech Warper. Do we want to execute the Mech Warper? Depending on what other mechs the mage has in her hand, it might be very valuable, as it does make future mech cards cost 1 less than they normally do. So tell you what, let's execute it and end the turn. This does make the Warbot susceptible to getting sniped by the Fire Blast, which is the hero power that mages have, deals 1 damage to any enemy on the board, or sometimes even friendly minions, depending on what you want to do. So I assume the mage will use 2 mana of the 4 to snipe off this Warbot. There it goes, maybe? Thinking about it. Maybe deciding to put that mana to different use by putting out a Chillwind Yeti, perhaps. Nope. Goes for the Fire Blast in the end. Now has 2 mana to do nothing. Ends the turn. Now on this 4 mana turn for me, my best bet is going to be putting down the Acolyte of Pain. I could attack with the Warrior, but that's kind of a waste of this 3 damage. Attacking the face of the mage at this early in the game isn't enough to kill her. And really, I want to leave it around in case there is something with 3 health that I want to kill later on. So we'll end the turn. And hopefully this Acolyte can get me some good card draws in the meantime. The mage puts out her own Acolyte and uses Fire Blast on my face, because attacking the Acolyte is no good. And then apologizes for that move, which is interesting. So here, on turn 5, I do have a Spellbreaker, which can silence a minion. Remember, silence, as I discussed last time, removes any of the special effects from a card. So I could silence this Acolyte of Pain, which means it could take damage and draw no cards for the mage. I could also coin out this Sunwalker, which is a Taunt and Divine Shield minion, which is really handy if the mage doesn't have a polymorph, which turns any minion into a sheep with 1 health and 1 attack. Is really good against cards like Sunwalker and higher mana cost cards. So tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And then attack the face. And then we'll go ahead and get rid of this Acolyte of Pain. 1 fell swoop. It does draw 1 card for the mage, but that's better than drawing 3 cards, which is what is possible for the Acolyte to do. So I have board control. I've got 2 fairly good minions on my side to none for the mage. We'll see if there's a polymorph. That is a 5 mana cost card, which is something the mage can do at this turn if she has one, and no. Instead we get a piloted Shredder, and chooses to Frostbolt my Acolyte, giving me 1 card as well before it dies. So well done, Acolyte, you did what you could. Now this turn, because I have a Divine Shield on the Sunwalker, I can attack this piloted Shredder, kill it off, and still have a taunted Sunwalker with full health and full attack left. I could also put down this Loatheb, which means enemy spells cost 5 more the next turn, preventing the mage from doing a polymorph here, or other spells that could prove costly. Tell you what, instead, let's silence this piloted Shredder. So where it used to summon a random minion when it dies, now it's not going to do that. You'll notice with the red X. Then kill the piloted Shredder, armor up, and end the turn. So feeling pretty good. There is a spell called Flame Strike the mage could use, which does 4 damage to all enemy minions at once across the board. It's very strong. Instead chooses a Matter Bomber, which does random damage across the board between all of the characters. Impressively, not one of those actually came back and hit the mage, which is interesting to see. I think what I'll do here is use my Death's Bite weapon to take that Matter Bomber out. Armor up, hit the mage with my Sunwalker, and end the turn. The Sunwalker does have 2 health left, which means that the Fire Blast isn't enough to get through its health entirely and kill it. So it's not easily removed, but there are several things that the mage could do to get rid of it here. We'll see what happens. And the Death's Bite weapon, the Death Rattle, when it's used up all of its availability, or its durability rather, which is 2, it will deal 1 damage to all minions, including my own. So if I attack here with the Death's Bite, irrelevant. I was going to worry about killing my own Sunwalker, but we got this free Cruel Taskmaster that costs 0 for the mage because it came by the unstable portal and killed off the Sunwalker. Very sad. So in my hand I have a couple options. I could do 2 damage to the Cruel Taskmaster and just kill it, although if I do 2 damage to a minion that survives, I get a card out of it. Card draw is very nice. I could just kill it with the Death's Bite. It's a little bit of overkill. Using 4 damage to kill a 2 health minion isn't super optimal, but maybe that's what I'll do anyway. And then for the rest, we'll put down this Shield Maiden, get 5 armor, get 2 more armor, and end my turn. So I do have less health than the mage, but I do have 7 armor on top, which puts me at 29, which is more. So I'm in the lead. I have a minion on the board. There are 15 cards in the mage's deck, 17 in mine, and the mage puts out a secret, and then uses a Fireball to completely take out my Shield Maiden, clear the board, and a Fire Blast to the face to knock down my armor by 1. Now the secret could be any number of things. It could be a duplicate. If I put something out, then the mage will get a copy of it on her side. It could mean the next time the mage is attacked, she gains 8 armor through Ice Block. Or Frost Armor, rather. Ice Block is where any attack that would normally kill the mage does not work and makes her immune for the rest of the turn. There are a bunch of secrets this could be. So we're going to put out an Armor Smith, and it is a duplicate. So the Armor Smith which gives a friendly minion, whenever a friendly minion takes damage, you gain 1 armor, is likely going to go ahead and give this mage some extra armor over the course of the game at this point. What I could do is a Mortal Strike to do 4 damage and just get rid of the Armor Smith entirely, giving the mage 1 armor, but not doing enough to really cause any problems for me. Armor up and end the turn. We'll see if the mage wants to use a Frostbolt or another Fireball to kill the Armor Smith. Chooses not to. Instead we get Trogzor, the Earthinator, which is a Homestar Runner reference, if you're familiar with that at all. Trogdor the Burninator is the original, and this is Trogzor the Earthinator. Whenever your opponent casts a spell, summon a burly Rockjaw Trog, which is a really good legendary. You'll notice from the dragon portrait across the top it is a legendary. So what I'll do, I think I'll use the Slam on this guy. Oh. Was I? I don't think I was thinking there. Ah, oh well. So we do kill the Tinkertown Technician, but I did give my opponent a Burly Rockjaw Trog, which is whenever your opponent casts a spell, gain +2 attack. So that's really fantastic. So we, in this situation, I'm going to put down the Sludge Belcher just for the taunt. Armor up and end the turn. So Trogzor can kill the Sludge Belcher, but then the Sludge Belcher will generate a 1/2 slime with taunt when it dies, which then can be killed by the Rockjaw Trog. And the mage uses an Echo of Medivh, which puts a copy of each friendly minion on the board into your hand, which is really good. So we get 2 Rockjaw Trogs. Yep. As expected. The Armor Smith gives me quite a bit of armor. I'm up to 14 now, that's nice. Can use the Execute on the Trogzor the Earthinator, but that will generate another Rockjaw Trog. That's concerning. Could do a Brawl, which is destroy all minions except one that is chosen randomly, and I could hope that one of these survives rather than the Earthinator. Tell you what, let's do it. Oh, it does summon another... Ooh. As that's a spell, which I keep forgetting, that generates another Rockjaw Trog, so... do end up getting a 5/4 Rockjaw Trog, but it is damaged, so you know what? I can use Execute here. And it's dead. And we armor up. So 13 cards, and 13 cards left for me. Pretty even. I am leading on the health, but the mage does have a card advantage in hand. The mage has 5 cards, I only have 3, and plays the second Trogzor. Obviously, I don't know why I didn't see that coming. So we'll go ahead and get this Kokoron Elite out. Do a charge to take the Trogzor down to 2. Drop a Loetheb to make the enemy spells cost more next turn, and hopefully I'll just be able to smack my Loetheb into the Earthinator's face and kill it before it can do too much damage here. We get a Snow Chugger out, which is to freeze anything attacked by that minion. The Blast Mage almost does enough to kill my Loetheb, but not quite. And Trogzor attacks the face. So what I can do here is use these Taskmasters to deal 1 damage to a minion and give it +2 attack, but 1 damage here and 1 damage here is enough to kill Trogzor. While my Loetheb can kill off this 5/4 Blast Mage, which does leave the Snow Chugger, but it only does 2 damage and freezes me, which isn't too big a deal right now, so let's do that. 1 damage, 1 damage. Attack there. Suicide. Armor up, and end the turn. So again, I have a board advantage, but the Snow Chugger can't kill any of these with a single hit. Ah, there's the Flame Strike that I mentioned earlier. 4 damage to all enemy minions. It's a little bit of a waste to use the Flame Strike just on a couple Taskmasters, in my opinion. They only have 2 health, and there's only 2 of them, so not a huge deal. So I'm really waiting for a taunt to come out so I can use this Black Knight, which destroys an enemy minion with taunt when he is placed. I don't know if this mage is actually running any taunts though, so let's do Corcoran Elite. I'm going to go ahead and attack the mage and end the turn. The Snow Chugger can do 2 damage to the Elite, which means a Fire Blast can come in and take it out. That final health on its 3, but I don't know if we're worried about that. A Frostbolt is a concern though. And an anti-killbot comes out to restore 8 health to the hero, bringing the mage up to 29. And now the mage has board control and is able to freeze me. But I do have a shield block that has gained 5 armor and draw a card, so let's do that. Oh, and my Ragnaros comes out, but I need 8 mana to make it happen, and I only have 7 left over. So we'll armor up to 13 and end the turn, and we can play Ragnaros next turn. And hopefully he can be pretty useful. So we get a Fire Blast to the face, and I'm going to assume the anti-Keelbot and the Snow Chugger are going to attack. And what does the mage want to do with the rest of that 8 mana? Nothing at all. Ends the turn. I know I said I would play the Ragnaros, but instead I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Sludge Belcher, just because the 3 attack is enough to kill either of these minions if they attack it, and the 5 health is enough to survive attacks from both of them, so effectively neither of those guys can get through to attack me as long as the Sludge Belcher is on the board. And there's the Polymorph. You can have 2 of each card in your deck, so I'm wondering if the mage is running both her Polymorphs or just has 1. I have a feeling the mage has 2, which worries me deeply. But let's do this. We're going to do Fiery War Axe, Ragnaros. I hope that Ragnaros kills one of these minions. Chooses instead to attack the mage head on. Now Ragnaros cannot attack, so he's very stationary. But at the end of the turn deals 8 damage to a random enemy. The mage, pulls out the second Polymorph and as a Faceless Manipulator to copy the Ragnaros to give the mage one of her own. Now I am Ragnaros-less. That might have been the play that won the game, ladies and gentlemen. I only have 15 health left. I have nothing on the board. This will do 8 damage, that will do 2 damage, that will do another damage. Faceless Manipulators are a really good card. I think I should probably try to get that one of these days. Take that out, armor up, end the turn. I'm gonna take 10 damage, regardless next turn, 11. And I'm not expecting a miracle, but you know, crazier things have happened. Oh, except there's a fireball on the deck, which brings me down to 6. Ragnaros is gonna do the final 8 damage needed to kill me. And that's the match. So JumpyLion played a good game. It was fairly close for a while. I'll give off a well played. Lose a star from my level 18 Sorcerer's Apprentice. And my warrior suffers a defeat, unfortunately. Well, this has been Falcon Paladin with yet another Hearthstone game. One of these days I might win a game that I cast. I promise. I don't know when it's going to be, but it will be soon enough. So hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw. Subscribe to my channel. You can also visit me at facebook.com/FalconPaladin. And until next time, this has been Falcon Paladin, and you take care of yourself.